Now that you say it's recording, all of a sudden I get nervous.
Well, we're recording. So we just did a little pregame prep here with my buddy Nathan Palmer. He is an owner with Northwind Roofing and Exteriors over in Southern Illinois. Is your main target audience? You're focused on helping families over in Southern Illinois. Is that correct?
That's correct. Basically, our we range from about Mount Vernon all the way down to the very tip of Illinois, down in Cairo, and east and west. Typically, we're within about an hour of Marion, which is right there on 57. But we can get a little bit further if customers need help.
Well, that's what I've actually worked the Southern Illinois section of Missouri for a company that I worked for a number of years. Ended up being the number one sales guy for them in the country. And I said, I got this little TV thing I was doing on the side. Car Shield was paying for it, and I started it. And anyway, they said no. So I said, they don't want to talk about it. So I said, I'm going to do it myself. We love having business owners like yourself on, really sharing some of the tricks of the trade, what people should be aware of. And we do that in our long format. Interviewed a lot of business owners come into the studio here in St. Louis. Built a studio in a secret location I have access to 24/7. May or may not be in the second story of my house, but I've got all kinds of cool stuff. I got the slider wall, and I've got the cyber lock, so nobody can accidentally walk in on an interview or take mess with my equipment, which nobody. I've got insurance, so if they did, I just get new, better equipment if they did, right?
Absolutely, that's what insurance is for.
Right. That's just like technology, especially. It's crazy like that. I'm like, I don't want to deal with all that, but if it happened, that's why you get insurance. We'll talk about that a little bit as regards to how many people they better have homeowners insurance for what the work that you guys do, because it's as relevant or if not more, because this isn't just some TV show they're trying to make a living with. It's where they live at, right? Their home.
Yes,
Is that
yes,
true?
absolutely. And the company matters. Make sure you do your research on any insurance company you're going to have insuring your home. It makes a very large difference. There's some companies that you just can't work with. They'll just deny the claim, and that's terrible, and they should be ashamed. But that's the world we live in.
Yeah, no, I know with one in particular you're talking about. I've had people saying if you're working with them, we're not even going to come out and look at your house. They're going to deny the claim.
Yep,
Talk to Nathan. He can talk to you specifically, privately, what company or companies that might be. We don't talk about that on camera, right? But
absolutely not.
appreciate you. But that's just knowledge, industry knowledge that experts like yourself have. I've had roofing guys love being on my show because they're like, man, all the exposure here. Yeah, man, I get a couple jobs out of this. It's like a trade show that never ends, is what they say to me. This video, they keep using it over and over. I'm like, hey, we're just here to help everybody use that video as much as you can. We got some great sponsors. We appreciate the guests and sponsors that help us with the show. So northwindroofing.com. I'm going to put that up on the wall here for everybody to see. I've got it behind me. I built a wall, not the wall, but a wall behind me, and that allows people to see what we're doing. We had the wide angle shot for that when we started the show. I'll switch back to that. And you can see here our multi-camera studio. So on the far right wall, you have a Facebook page specifically for Northwind Roofing and Exteriors. That's on our wall to my right. Behind me, though, is your website, and that is northwindroofing.com. And great information you've got out there. I think you said you're doing some updates too. Is that what you were talking
Yeah,
about?
we're still working through getting the website up to speed. That's just something that I'm not a tech guy, so I'm at the mercy of the tech folks to get it up to speed.
Well, I will always offer to anybody who comes on my show for any purpose, anytime, some free consultation, because I can look at a website in 3 seconds and tell you things that should be improved. But you've got a pretty good looking site. Definitely a couple little things I'd recommend, but we'll talk about those off camera because you got to go look at the
Absolutely.
site there. The important thing is, do you have information? One thing I'll mention is put that phone number right at the top, like you did. That's how you do it. Good job. Because people want to know, they don't want to dig to find your phone number, right? You got it right at the top there.
Nope,
You got to contact
definitely
you.
don't want to dig for it.
And so some people are like, "Oh, I got a great website." I'm like, "Where's your phone number? I got to spend 3 minutes looking for it. I'm calling somebody else." So great stuff. So the question we typically talk about, because I have a big sports audience. If you look at my stats, and I publish some of my stats publicly, you can go look on yourlittlecastle.com. Go to yourwebclips.com. And right there, I put my stats. I get about 5 million people a year in the last 12 months. I just did a 12 month, not picking summer versus winter versus, I just 12 months, 5 million people watch my stuff that was out there. And we post, fairly frequently, but that's pretty good. So, but we want to highlight. So with that regard, what my audience likes to hear, what they like to see is stuff related to the Cardinals, of course, because I'm the Cardinal cowboy. I've got the World Series trophy sitting up here. I was moving it to put that light up. It's on my mini fridge there. We keep cold waters in here for our guests, but the World Series and sports in general, we touched on it earlier with regard to your background and talked a little bit about your affinity, if you will. How do you think sports, in your case, because some people, well, I didn't do sports, but I did choir, or I did music, or I did drama, or I did Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. Everybody seems to have done some action. You don't just go to school and come home and watch TV. I guess some of the kids now we got to say, are you a professional gaming expert? Because that's what they're going to say.
I'm definitely not that.
That can create some competitive, I guess, some drive. But talk about that if you would.
Yeah.
Nathan,
So,
about your sports
yeah,
background.
I was not a particularly large guy. I did play a lot of different sports just because I've always enjoyed sports and competition and just physical movement. Um, I played baseball, I played soccer, but I was honestly better at things more like swimming, wrestling, weightlifting, things like that. Because one, wrestling and weightlifting have weight categories. So that's a big advantage for me. But swimming is a lot technique, and technique to me is a big important part of everything. Um, it's paying attention to the details. How are you moving? What are you supposed to do? How can you improve your physical performance without being able to make yourself stronger? You're going to get stronger in the long run anyway, but being able to apply the, more or less the science of motion to what you're doing to make you better at it without having to be the same size. Because if you have great technique in a lot of things, you can be as good as somebody that's much larger than you that has poor technique. I think a lot of that transitions into just, at the end of the day, it's attention to detail, paying attention to what you're doing in the small things to make sure that in the big picture it all comes out right. I feel like that does flow directly into business, just paying attention to all the little things to make sure the little things are being done right, so that in the grand scheme of things, the big things end up done right as well.
Great point. Yeah, I always let that kind of leave that question open to people. We talked about sports for. I've done live streaming shows for 10 years now. It's interesting. All the MLB guys are finally getting together, and now you can watch streaming rather than. I'm like, guys, I've been doing streaming since 2009. Okay, so
Yeah,
you're only 14 years behind. But anyway, but I mean, streaming, just being in front of people on any to extent on video really helps. But what we're talking about is why should somebody choose your company? What do you offer? What do you bring to the table? And we like that sports background because I know, like we talked a little about pregame prep. I'm not going to finish last. That is not an option. There is no way I'll finish last. I
nope.
might finish second or third. For me, I've been fortunate. I got a book I'm writing called Always at the Top. And I wrote the first 2, 3 chapters, and then the whole COVID craziness happened. I said, let me kind of what's going to happen with all of this. But it is coincidence that every organization I've been in, as a part of the team or a leader on the team or one of the best players on the team, I was always on the best teams. I don't know if I just grew from natural affinity to that, but as I got good at what I was doing, the teams would ask me to play on those teams. But why do you think that's so important for the development of you as a person when you were younger, and how that did turn into like, man, I got to win. This is going to be good, and that really helps your customers, right?
Yeah, I think just having a competitive nature, you want to be the best. In everything. It's not just in sports. It's in business. It's in what you do. And so long as you keep that mindset of I want to be the best that I possibly can be, then you're going to continue that in your work. So you're going to pay attention to the details. You're going to make sure that you know what you're talking about before you ever show up. You're going to make sure if it's something new, you do your research to make sure that it's done correctly. Because it's all stuff you're going to do in sports. You're going to make sure that you have every possible advantage that you can. And you're going to do your research on your other teams, make sure you know what your competitors are likely to do. And just preparation and dedication and just hard work all go hand in hand with any type of business. I think just the motivation as well, just everything there's so many aspects of sports you could pick that tie directly to being successful in business. It's just continuing that mindset. Because a lot of people, you quit sports, you get fat, you get lazy, you go get a job where it's 9 to 5, and you don't really care as much. Um, in business, you can't do that. You have to be dedicated to it the same way you were dedicated to that sport when you were playing it actively. Like in my case, being a business owner and being a good business owner is my professional sport. Like
Yeah,
these are
write that one
it's the
down.
big
I
league
got my
for me.
pencil here, everybody. This is the giant pen. I bought this at the gas station, believe it or not. Oh my gosh. I will use that for something. But for me, it's to take note. Take note there what Nathan is saying, because this is why you like to work. Number one, I like working with small businesses, because when I'm working with a small business, I'm usually talking to somebody pretty close to the decision maker, to the owner. right? And if there's a
Hmm.
problem, generally that owner is going to say, hey, we're going to fix that. We're going to get it right. We're going to make sure it's
Yep.
done correctly. And the bigger the companies get, it seems the more likely they are to be like, oh, well, tell them we'll do this and do that. And, by the time they get through our system to figure out what we were supposed to have done, it'll be too late and they'll forget about it or whatever. Small businesses can't do that.
No, you can't survive if you're not willing to fix, even if it's not your mistake. If there's even the possibility it's your mistake, you got to fix it. You have to, because we had one recently where it wasn't actually our fault, but we had to go out and tarp something. We'd done a patch, and on the other side, it was not in good shape. But the patch, or the temporary patch, there was nails in it, so we can't water test and prove that it's our mistake versus their mistake. It wasn't, but at the end of the day, we replaced everything to make sure that customer was taken care of because it's the right thing to do. If you should always err on the side of the customer in any
Yeah,
type of situation.
absolutely. Because your reputation is online, and that's all you got really as a
Yeah,
small business guy. You can't blow them away with $16,000 a week in advertising that just brings in all kinds of people that don't even know what they're buying or what they're signing up for.
exactly.
Small businesses have to be on cue every. Now, the other benefit you tell me, and this ties into sports, I think too, is you've always got to be. We talked about this. Always got to be on the cutting edge. Always got to be ready to make an adaptation, I should say, adaptation for. Maybe that's a word I just made up, but to just be, hey man, oh wait, there's this new technology out there that just came out. The big guys, it takes a long time for them to adjust to those things because they can't just bring in a whole new thing and train everybody to do this. But the owner who's done everything around that will quickly learn what that new feature is, that new option is, that new equipment does, and be able to apply it more readily, way ahead of your competitors, those big guys. Would you agree with that? Is
Oh
that
yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's not a ton of technology that changes regularly, but there's a few things that have changed in roofing over the last few years that we've made sure to implement, and not everybody has. There's national code now requires ice and water shield on all your eaves. That wasn't here 10, 15 years ago. That was very uncommon. Well, that saves people a lot of money. They didn't, it is a little bit extra money, but at the end of the day, it's going to save you a whole lot more because your eaves aren't going to rot out. There's putting starter strip on your rakes that didn't used to be a thing. It should be there because that's what provides wind protection. So not all the big companies have adjusted to that. Some of them have to a certain extent, but they don't make sure that it's done on every single roof because it's a cutthroat business. You got to watch out for every estimate to make sure you're actually comparing comparable estimate. You can't have one that's got everything included and is done properly to one that's cheaper but's missing stuff. And homeowners don't necessarily know the difference. So I always make sure to try and educate them. That's a big thing that I like to do. I'll probably spend more time than is necessary with every customer because I want them to know what we're doing.
well said, and that's what you got to do. And these consumers, the customers, they don't know all the details. They couldn't figure this out if they spent 6 hours a day for 2 weeks trying to figure this stuff out. There's this little thing called experience, right? So
Yeah.
talk about your background, your experience in this industry, and what your company brings. And I know you got a couple guys.
Yeah,
You got 3 owners, I think, with the company. You said, or how
that's
many?
correct. Yep.
Yeah, and
So
what you guys bring with having three experts working together on
uh,
this.
combined experience of about 30 years directly involved in roofing. So we've seen a lot. We've also got, as far as two of the owners, they own full blown general contracting companies as well. So that is actually, it's more valuable than you might think on a roof because there's more than one time where we've come across, well, we expected some rotten decking. It goes worse, way worse than that. We've got to replace trusses. We've got to replace rafters. We've got to do all this other stuff that a lot of just plain roofing contractors simply don't have the skills necessary to do. So to have people involved that are able to, they can build you a ground up house, do your roof. You've got some advantages that you may not think about. So that's nice to have that. But as far as myself, I've been involved in construction for over 20 years at this point. Um,
Wow.
Particularly on the roofing side, I've been focused on that for probably the last five, which we recently joined forces whenever we partnered up. And that's where one of my other partners, he's got about 20 years in roofing. And then we've got one guy that he's only got about 1 year in, but he's learning fast.
That's what you're looking for because bottom line is, and I thought that was camera number 3. So our guests will sit here. Maybe you guys will come in here, sit down with me, in studio if you like. We're not too far from you. Are you by Carterville? Is that what I also saw?
Yes,
That's too far
that's
from.
correct.
So and bring me a sign from somewhere. Don't steal a sign, but bring me. My name's Carter. My real name is Carter. Well, I think we mentioned that before. And I used to service Carterville. There's Cartersville, where I used to work for Anheuser-Busch. I managed the email systems for AB. Started off answering phones, worked my way up, and we had a brewery in Cartersville. I'm not even sure where that's at. I think it's in New York or Georgia
I've
or
heard of it, but I do not know where it is. I've
back in the
typed it in
day.
on accident, and the GPS pulls me to the wrong town.
That's a 12-hour drive if you want to go that one, right? Versus 45 minutes of where you're at. But yeah, but our small communities, our smaller towns, they just need the word out about what they do. So we're one of the biggest networks closest to you. We would air this on our show. I might put this on our show. We air in St. Louis 3 times a week here on ABC 30 KDNL, and I'm essentially the local guy. Bringing my competitors. I love them. My friends that work at 2, 4, and 5. They do great work. They're good at what they do. We do a little different format. We got more airtime. I efficiently made this thing where we don't have 12 people to produce this whole thing. And so I know some of the other crews and other people. I'm not saying anybody specifically. I do know the numbers. They do things. And they have labor agreements and stuff like that. And I just small enough now getting started. We don't have all those overhead right now. I'd like to get to where we have a bigger crew, but right now let's just keep this efficient because we need businesses like you to get the name out about what you do and how you help the business, how you help the world. And if it wasn't for small businesses, then who would it be that's helping us? Because the small businesses are the ones who really make this stuff happen across the board. And Kayla, if you can join on, we're recording, and Nathan there, I think he's going to call me and say his phone went out there, but let me pull him up here. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hello. Can you hear me? Hello? Yes, I thought maybe that was Nathan. But anyway, Nathan was just on our Zoom there. We did about a 15-minute discussion about
Okay.
roofing. And we're showing a little bit. I'm going to continue here and talk a little bit about the marketing strategies. We're making his web clip for him. And right there, I could tell something drops, and sometimes the internet goes, and it's sort of, he was engaging pretty nicely in our conversation there. But I want to show off his website. Take a look here. I'm going to share the website for everybody. And as it's on the wall, and this is the wall behind me, it's also on my screen in front of me. We do that multi-shared. There it is. And so take a look here. Give them not a bad. I looked at the website. Not bad. Not bad. Definitely some things that minor little things they could do as we're marketing experts. Kayla can advocate all kinds of things that web guys should do. But hey, they got a good looking picture as the header right there. They got some services they offer right there, the area that they target, and their phone number is right up front. Any other good things you like about this website that they've got?
I like that it's simple. I like that there isn't huge chunks of information that's very easy to navigate.
Yeah. And with all of the information they provide to make it simple, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to advocate they can take our free web clip, which we allow people to take for free from our social media, and put it on their website. If they want a copy of it, we say, hey, throw us some, we got, help us with the production costs, et cetera, become a sponsor, those kinds of things. But they have a lot going on here, and they're really good at what they do. Nathan, man, we had a long discussion. Maybe his battery died, but we were talking for been about an hour at this point, not quite an hour. He came on right about 3:00. It's 3:50 right now. But dynamite work they do, and we're really excited to share what he and his business do. This is Northwind Roofing and Exteriors. You can see the website there. I'm also going to switch. I'll just drag this over. It's easier to do that from wall number. There it is. 3, and I'm going to minimize these. There's our Zoom, but your little castle up there. But here is, they have a specific Facebook page for their, it says guarding your home's legacy from peak to foundation. It isn't a house one of the most valuable things anybody ever owns, obviously. Why would you not want to improve the value of it rather than decrease the value of it? And by letting it become dilapidated, and then they say, oh, we can't even sell this thing now. Wow, you had a $200,000, $300,000 house and you didn't take care of it. This will, when they get repairs, I'm sure you know how this works with a roofing, siding, decking, anything house related. You're almost always improving the value of the house, right? For sure. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I've worked in real estate for several years, and roofs are one of the first things buyers ask about. And it's one of the most valuable things that a seller who's getting their home ready to sell, if you can say, I put a new roof on this house, that is going to be a major point for buyers to create even more competition.
Well, there you go. And it's just get somebody you can know and trust. And I just become a very strong advocate. Maybe this comes a little bit from a personal experience with my parents' learning center. And they were just competing with the big guys. And the big guys had no problem spending all kinds of marketing dollars and all kinds of everything, you name it. They did events and social events and television ads and everything. Well, let's just get everybody a great looking interview, even if it's done just through a web link. This still looks pretty darn good. The cameras are pretty good. It's not like being in the studio sitting here with us, but hey, let's get something for you. And we're doing these little web gems, we call them, for free. And then if you want a copy of it, give us a few bucks and we'll show you how that works. But or sponsor, however you want to call it. But these things can really become valuable because everybody is, true or false, everybody has become their own marketing agency, right? They've got their own social media now, and you better do something with it.
Very true.
Tell me your thoughts about what you would recommend people do as somebody who's got one of the top bands. I know you do a lot of social media. I was at your big event, your birthday. Happy birthday. She just turned 22 again, I think. But
yeah, we'll go with that.
that was a heck of a party. There was a lot of fans there, you had a big crowd show up in that room. But
yeah,
social media, you've got to use this social media stuff. Why?
Yeah, the biggest thing I can say is consistent posting, and don't make it the same thing all the time. Don't always have it be a picture with call me if you need this service. Provide all kinds of information, photos, videos, go live, answer questions. If you've got a follower who, they're very interactive with with your page, no matter what you do, maybe you go live and you invite them in, you get them to give you a live review on Facebook's. Everything becomes a testimonial to your business, whether it's photo, video, text, live streaming. All of it works together to showcase who you are and what you do and why you are better than your competition.
Now we try to make it easy for you. Just jump on a Zoom call with us.
Yeah.
We'll turn this into a great looking piece because I'll have the studio set up behind you and the TV walls and all that stuff. And then it's a lot of, for the last 3 years, every week, we've had 1 or 2 and sometimes 3 different groups, businesses, 95% of the time businesses come sit in our studio. Because we're like, so you can keep me from having to buy all kinds of equipment and set up my own podcast and just all I got to do is walk in and then I got a half-hour interview or an hour, 2 half-hour interviews. So I've got content now for decades, maybe, but at least a year's worth of content that people will spend. It's funny, but tell me if you've seen these social media people, and I love them, but they have to find the content. They have to use a stock image. They have to take a picture of something that wasn't a very good looking professional picture, and they charge $200, $300, $500, $1,000 a month to post 2 or 3 times a week. And then we say, hey, all the stuff we've done, new things that our new software, Opus, you've seen, and you dump our video into the Opus and it writes the clips for you. And we're an affiliate with them. Get it through us, you get a lot more for the same cost. It's $15 a month for the Opus stuff. But it takes all your interviews, the clips, or your whole interview, cuts it into clips, and writes the post for you, reading what you said and turning it into a post. How cool is that?
Very cool.
Well, we're going to do a lot more of this. I'm going to show everybody our website here for that as we give everybody, say, please check us. And it's called Your Web Clips. Look at that. I'm a marketing guy. That forwards on to a page on our website. But here's a great interview that was just a Zoom that turned into something that actually aired on ABC. And here's guys like Gary Vee, make content. And here's our traffic we gain. You can schedule Kayla or I. And here's some examples of the actual clips that came out of it, just a Zoom call, all written for you. And I'm going to share this real quick on the screen. We'll finish up here. We've got a 4 o'clock meeting with somebody here coming up in 7 minutes.
We do.
Take a look at this, everybody. And thanks to Nathan for taking time. I know he was in the middle of he was in the middle of a job. He had a guy come over that was doing an estimate. There was one of his subs to fix something. He's like, well, you think we should do this? We should do that. He's like, hold on, cowboy, I got time. So he probably, you gotta work with these guys who are always working because their schedules are tight. And that's kind of how we do it. But there you see that website shared. Did that share to you?
Yes.
Okay. But here are all these clips. This is just from one little short. This is like a 15-minute. And these are all written. I'm going to just post one of them right now. Watch how easy this is. Boom. and it's going to go to all my different social medias. Boom. All right, everybody, go check my social media. Pick one of my Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Snapface, linked them, whatever. They're all out there, and they're all linked, and it'll be on there in about 2 minutes on all of them. Is that pretty cool?
That's super cool.
That helps with SEO, which is what you're the expert at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get that clip now, embed it in your site, do all kinds of stuff right out because it goes to YouTube also.
Yeah.
And it's neat. I'm gonna jump over to my YouTube channel here. Let's see how quickly it may or may not have come out here. But let's go to YouTube. And which channel am I on? I'll switch. I'll just go to your little castle. And there's our channel. There's our most recent interview. And so here's our videos. I think this is going to come up as a short. So now they're even making shorts for you. Look at that.
There it is.
I don't know if that's the most recent one, but there's a couple that came out of that. Yeah, these are the shorts. Look at this one. Got 516 views. It took me nothing. 3.7 thousand, 522, 511. Why wouldn't you do this? How many people do you know can walk up to the room and say, hey, I need all 500 of you people to pay attention. I'm going to put something out there you should watch. That's
Right.
what we get to do now, isn't it? Pretty cool. And let us help our business friends with that. Thank you for joining us as a team member. And let's get ready for this next interview with our next guest. And Dawn is about to let us know about who that is.
Perfect.
Right. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to stop the recording right now. Giddy up. And the button right here, and I was moving around on me depending on the size of my screen. There it is. Okay, so there's a menu item. Pause, stop. All right, there we go. Giddy up.